Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're on the last video of the last page. You're almost done. We've talked about how to brew beer. We've talked about the first, the second, the third page. We did like half of this page already, and you've just like want to strangle me, girl. I understand. We're almost done. So, fruitier beers. What makes them fruity? Well, for the most part, fruit. There is a bit of weirdness. A, ciders are not technically beers. They don't have hops and they aren't brewed. They have a different fermentation process. All of it's completely different and they're not technically beers. Um, there is still a fermentation process. The sugars from the fruit are what give everything the yumminess to build off of, and that's where you get your alcohol. They're typically lower in alcohol and they're typically higher in sugars and very sweet. Um, for the most part, I don't like ciders. There are a couple of really dry English style ciders running around that I like. The big one being Ace Joker cider. But we have a good amount of ciders, honestly, that have a lot of variety and flavor. For the cider drinker, we are the place to go, in all honesty. We have the biggest selection of Ace, and we have the biggest selection of Original Sin. Ace is the biggest up-and-coming cidery in the nation, and Original Sin is the most awarded, longest-standing cidery in the nation. They're East Coast and West Coast. Ace is from California. Original Sin's in New York. Those are going to be where I would suggest you send as many of your customers as you can. We have the Original Sin apple and the cherry. And we also have quite a bit from Ace at any given time. We have their pear, their pineapple, their joker, and we typically have a seasonal running around. We've done their pumpkin. We've got a space right now, Ace Space. It has blood oranges in it, and it tastes like a mimosa. It's actually really good. Um, if you can send your cider drinkers there and get them something other than apple juice, that would be great. A lot of these other ciders have different amounts of alcohol, they have different amounts of dryness. If you can really start getting into what Ace and Original Sin are trying to do, it is um, similar to like what wine tries to do. Not quite as involved, not quite as many flavors. It's a little easier to get into though. The other style of fruity beers we have are fruit beers. Fruit beers are beers that have fruit added to them at some point in time, or fruit flavors added to them at some point in time. Red's Apple Ale is technically an ale that had apples added to it. So it has hops and it's brewed like a beer. We just add more apple flavor in and get an apple beer. Shiner Strawberry Blonde is the same way. Any beer that ends with an ale or a lager or someone, or you can see the difference in a cider and a beer. Your beers actually have hops, and because of that, and they have a very unique yeast flavor to them. Because of that, a lot of people will not like fruit beers, especially if they are cider drinkers. Fruit beers are a weird niche, and you can use them to wean cider drinkers into the land of beer eventually. The biggest ones for these are going to be Abita's Purple Haze, Red's Apple Ale, which I would rather you not push too heavily when we have other examples like either Abita or Shiner Strawberry running around, when we have more upfront, full flavored beers that have. Red's Apple Ale, in my opinion, is just too close to a cider. Like they've brewed it to be a certain thing that is entirely. It's brewed to combat um, Angry Orchard, and because of that, they've done their best to try and make it look like a cider, even though it's supposed to be a beer. Um, the last thing that I would suggest are, if we ever have our lambics running around, our sours. This is where fruit beers get really weird. We add really wild yeast and it sours our beer, or we add things like coriander, sometimes other things to try and sour our beer out. Smutty Nose did that peach short vice for a short amount of time. We've got one from Deep Ellum right now. Last year we had two different ones from New Belgium. They're few and far between, but they're the new hot thing. Lambics, Gozas, Sours. Goza is spelled Gose, just for the record. Um, or your Berliner Weiss or short Weisses. If anybody's looking for those, they're looking for a sour fruit beer. Um, and we typically only have a limited supply on tap at any given time. However, it's been a while since we didn't have at least one sour. The last type of fruit beers to recommend are shandies. Shandies are part fruit beer, part soda. Or Radlers do a similar thing. Um, Fruit juice, fruit soda. Um, Leinenkugel and Curious Traveler are big shandy suppliers. We don't have a whole lot of shandies outside of that. If they would like a shandy, I legitimately just thought about this. I will make them a half KCCO, half lemonade if they really, really want it, and we'll try it out because that is basically how you make a shandy. There's a little more to it, but that does not sound too terribly bad. Blanche de Brussels, we can make them a shandy if they really want it, but we only have the ability to do it with lemonade. So we would have to find something with some lemon flavor in it. That's really all I've got for you guys. That wraps up the menu. We've learned about how to brew beer. We've learned about how to recommend beer, what makes different beers taste the way they do. I think this is going to be sort of like the end of the first semester, and we'll do a like sort of cumulative test at the end of this for the last set of videos. However, I will probably there's no probably to it. There will be more videos that come out. The next thing that I would like to do is do a beer history video that will probably be a little lengthier than these ones have been. Or I might do a beer history section similar to how we did this. Where I might do 3 to 5, 4 to 6 minute videos. Either way, we'll get back at you. I'm going to get this test written up now that I know what all y'all are supposed to know, and we'll make sure you know it. Y'all be good. We'll see you next time.